It's been a while, right? And it's been even longer since we have actually sat down with Jesus, or more exactly, sat with Matthew's gospel retelling of the teachings of the rabbi from Nazareth. While we were all busy in the summer exploring tales from Torah, the lectionary continued to plough its way through the Gospel of Matthew from the Sermon on the Mount, way back in those heady, new, crowded days of Jesus' ministry in Galilee. It's ploughed through all of the chapters where Jesus turns a road trip into a pilgrimage of practical discipleship for the ones who are committed to follow him. These disciples have been learning how to feed people, how to heal people, how to hear the heartache of people's lives, and how to challenge the presumptions of religion and politics. And so now this morning, we step back onto the discipleship road just as things are starting to get serious. Because Jesus has been noticed by the powers that uphold the privilege of Rome and of the religious elites, and they are not happy. And for those who are still following, the teaching is getting harder because the stakes are getting higher. And this is where we pick up the story. This reading is a reading for our times. Shall we listen? Reading from Matthew chapter 18. Peter, Simon Peter, approached Jesus and asked him, "Rabbi, if when someone among us sins against me, how often should I forgive?" "I'm thinking, Jesus, as many as 7 times. Jesus responded, "Oh, Peter, not 7. How about 77? Or 7 times 70? Let me tell you a story. Let it come, let it go. The kingdom of God can be compared to a ruler who wished to settle accounts with their slaves. There was one who owed the ruler 10,000 talents. A lot. 1 talent was worth 15 years' wages. Now this one was dragged before the ruler, who condemned him to be sold along with his wife and his children and everything he owned in order to settle the debt. Now the slave prostrated themselves before the ruler and begged, pleading, saying, 'Have mercy, be patient with me, and I will work to pay off my debt.' Now the ruler had pity on the slave and released them of their debt. Now the same slave, as they went on their way, encountered another slave, and this one owed money too, to the first slave, about 100 denarii, which is about 3 months' wages. So the first slave grabbed her by the throat and demanded, 'You pay me what you owe.' And the second slave prostrated herself before the first, pleading, saying, 'Have mercy, be patient with me, and I will work to pay off my debt.' But the first slave refused and had her imprisoned for her debt. Now when the ruler heard this, the ruler was furious, summoned the first slave, whose debt had been forgiven, saying, 'What wickedness is this? I showed you mercy, and I forgave your debt because you pleaded with me. And yet your heart is so hard that you would not do the same for another who is in debt to you? Shame on you.' And the ruler cast the first slave into a worse prison of torment, because that slave would not forgive the sins of another from his heart. Let this story come. Let it go." And this is the good news of God in Jesus Christ.
Thanks be to God.